Hi, I'm Governor Scott Walker, watching Lynxx 24, connecting you to the community.
Hello, welcome back to Lynxx 24. I'm here with the mayoral candidates, Nellie Pater, Pete Peterson, Dorothy Cortez, and Remy Gomez. So this section of the Lynxx 24 is our interview for the candidates. And we're going to start, we have 4 questions, and I'm going to start with the very first question for each candidate, and you have about 35 seconds to answer the question. The first question is to tell us a little bit about yourself. So we'll start with you, Nellie.
Hi, my name is Nellie Pater. I have lived in Tomah for 23 years. I'm currently on the City Council. I have 3 children, and my husband works for the post office here in Tomah.
Thank you, Nellie. Pete, tell us a little bit about yourself as well.
Well, I'm moved here in 2000 when I retired from the military. It's me and my wife say moving to Tomah is the best thing that we have did in our married life. We're happy here. I have a house on the lake. Watch the boaters. It's just a great place to live and be a part of, and I want to be a part of it, of the city government.
Thank you. And Dee, tell us a little bit about yourself as well.
My name is Dee Cordes. I'm 54 years old, and I've lived in Tomah for the past 21 years. I moved here to help my mom operate her tavern business, Sportsman's Bar downtown. I've been married for 11 years to Chuck Cordes. I have 2 grown children, Stephen Walker and Jeannie Cordes, that both graduated from Tomah High. And I've been working at Toro for 19 plus years.
Thank you, Dorothy. And Remy, you can finish up by telling us a little bit about yourself as well.
Thank you. My name is Remy Gomez, born and raised right here in good town of Tomah, 33 years old. Did various community services, coached a lot of your kids, went to school with a lot of your kids, raised 3 kids of my own. Beautiful fiance Kayla, who works right here with Lynxx. Excited to be here and excited for the opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you to all the candidates for sharing that. Our next question that we have for you is, could you explain why you are running for mayor? And our second question, we'll start off, Pete, with you first.
Well, I did not intend to run for mayor. I just think, well, everything was going fine, you know, but I've had people keep asking me, would you run for mayor? Are you going to run for mayor? So finally, when we had the trouble at City Hall, I decided this was the time for me to run. I feel that I'll be a good asset to the city as the mayor. I have government experience. I've been on the county board for 10 years. I've chaired the executive committee. I've chaired the personnel committee. I'm a member of the finance committee. I was on the city council before, and so I was president of the city council 1 year. So I bring experience to it, more experience than Nellie's been on the city council for quite a while, but I bring a lot of experience to the plate.
Thank you. And Dee, right? That's what you go by,
yes,
is Dee.
it is.
So can you tell us why you are running for mayor?
I'm running for mayor because I feel the citizens of Tomah have lost their eyes, ears, and voice. And the mayor's office has become somewhat of an anomaly to the citizens. I want the citizens to know that I am someone that wants to change that. I want to be the bridge. I want to be the bridge between the council, the city administrator, and the citizens of Tomah.
Thank you, Dee. Remy, can you tell us a bit about why you chose to run for mayor?
More than happy. Well, as I said, lived here 33 years. Got a unique tie with the community. Never sat on city council, never sat on really any formal board. Also, I think that would be my main asset. Something new, something fresh. People want change, and I think change comes from outside the box. That's why I think I would be the best fit for mayor.
Thank you, Remy. And last, Nellie, can you explain why you are interested in running for mayor?
I'm running for mayor because I feel like I can make a difference for the city. I've been on the city council 8 years, and I have followed the change with the city. I have been involved in a lot of projects throughout the years, and I have an inside feeling of where the city would like to go and how it would move, and I want to make a difference in moving the city forward.
Thank you. We're going to go on to our third question, and that is, what's one thing you'd like to hope that you'd accomplish as mayor. And we'll start, Dee, with you with the question. So tell us one thing you're hoping to do as a mayor.
If elected, I hope to open the door of the mayor's office. I want to be the open communicator our citizens want and need in this town. I intend to hold those in the position of leadership accountable for the decisions they are making and imposing on our citizens. In Tomah, I want to work closely with the city administrator and the Chamber of Commerce in efforts to make Tomah appealing to businesses and have our town prosper again.
Thank you, Dee. Remy, what's one thing you'd hope to accomplish if you were elected mayor?
Well, the first debate, same question was asked, and I'd answered based on a couple things that were going on as far as the mayor's office. I think we're all missing a huge part of here where we have a chance to affect. I think we have a huge opiate and methamphetamine addiction here. I think rehabilitation would be our first and foremost, our step. Not to steal this from Bernie Sanders of his concept, but people need help right now, not 6 months from now. I understand that we have trust issues in the mayor's office. That will all weed itself out. We have some serious major issues of our youth, and I think if we tackle that first and foremost, no matter which candidate, I think we'll be better off as a city and a county.
Thank you, Remy. And Nellie, on to you. What's one thing you'd like to accomplish if
I would
elected
like
mayor?
to accomplish the communication between the business people and the citizens and the city council, along with the city department. It's very important to know to know that we as a community can work together to make good things for the city. I would also like to bring businesses outside of Tomah and bring them here so that we can fill up our business storefronts and get the things going again that we have been lacking over the last couple months.
Thank you, Nellie. And lastly, Pete, what would you like to accomplish if elected mayor?
Well, I don't come with an agenda. I will watch, I will listen. A goal of mine is to restore the good name of Tomah, because our name has suffered a lot with the troubles at the VA and all the stuff that's going on out there. I will always stress the positives. We have good schools, we have a nice library, a great library, the events that in this town hosts, the tractor pull and the fair. We have a professional administrator, we have great department heads. So I am all about the positive. And one thing I'll have that nobody else has mentioned here is, the question came up last time, will you have office hours? Yes, I will have office hours. I am retired, so I have time on my side. Now, don't ask me what those hours will be just yet. That'll have to work its way out. But I will be available to the public. They can talk to me, and I'll be all open communication.
Thank you. Well, thank you to our 4 candidates. Stay tuned. When we come back, we'll have more questions for the mayor candidates. You're watching Lynxx 24, connecting you to the community. Welcome back to Lynxx 24. I'm here with the Tomah mayoral candidates, Nellie Pater, Remy Gomez, Pete Peterson, and Dee Cortez, for our second half of the interview. So we're going to start with Nellie with our question. And Nellie, could you talk about 1 or 2 issues you see facing Tomah?
I say growth because we're very limited on what we have as far as land, and we need to work outside the box to bring businesses into town. So I would say my first would be growth, and the second would be businesses. We have to have a tool in there to promote bringing businesses back into the city. We have a lot of empty storefronts, and we need to bring that revenue back into the city and jobs back into the city. So I would say those are the 2 issues that Tomah will be facing down the road.
Thank you. And Pete, 1 or 2 issues you see facing Tomah?
Well, I'd like to see the south end of the town opened up some because it's a big. The north end is doing well. The south end needs to start. You get the south end going good, and then you have to travel down to Main Street to get from one end to the other. I think it's a real opportunity for the city. Relative to that is Highway 12. Road's in bad shape. We need to get that fixed. Now, I'm thinking that might be a hard thing to do with where the money flows from the federal to the state to down. So that's be hard. But then I have a minor issue I want to look at is some time ago, the Tomah Veterans Association lost the beer license at the tractor pull and the fair to the Monroe County Ag Society. And I've very involved in that. I've been the treasurer of the Veterans Association for 14 years. I would like to have some way where we can have a more equitable share of the money for the veterans, because we use that to keep the American Legion, the VFW, and the DAV in business.
Great, thank you. And Dee, 1 or 2 issues that you see facing Tomah?
We have a very big lack of communication, which in turn reflects in the amount of the community support and involvement we have here in Tomah. I base this on the fact that I've talked to many citizens, and they say they really don't have any idea what's going on. If they don't drive past the new Tomah information sign in the park over there by the Veterans Memorial, other than that, they don't really know what's going on, the newspaper, if they are subscribing or buy it. And another one, I agree with Nellie, is the lack of businesses downtown. We need to prosper downtown in order for our growth to go anywhere.
Great. And Remy, we'll finish up with you. What is 1 or 2 things you see facing Tomah right now?
Everything that they've said, great points. I agree. South end of town does need to be taken care of, but I think with Phil and the hospital project, I think that will, for the most part, take care of itself as far as development. The communication, I feel, I kind of have a different opinion on that. I think communication needs to be a two-way road. I feel like they have opened the doors for public planning and for informational meetings. Now, not everybody's lifestyle allows them to be able to be at those meetings. That being said, it does need to be some more of a two-way road. But the main reasons or main issues that we have, first off, the referendum. Like you said earlier, it's not a lot of money. Kids need it. Personally, if it was up to me, I would give them more. To be honest, you can never give too much to your schools. And then secondly, I touched on this a little bit ago, the drug issue, in cleaning up the VA. The VA, like Pete had mentioned earlier, gave us a huge black eye to our community, and I think that we just need to...
Great, thank you, Remy. And we just want to thank all the candidates for being here. And our viewers want to stay tuned after our Lynxx 24 to catch the debate happening at 7:30. Stay tuned for what's coming up in your community.
And welcome to our big debate, the Lynxx 24 live Tomah mayoral candidate debate. I'm Steve Peterson along with April Frelke, and together we're going to be moderating this event. And thanks to all of you watching right now on our YouTube channel. And don't forget that you can participate in the debate by calling in a question for our candidates to 608-567-4739. And over the half-hour course of this debate, you can also submit questions on our Lynxx 24 Facebook page or email questions to Erica@Lynxx24.com. So,
It's exciting.
Our hope is that this will be an opportunity for you to get to know the 4 Tomah mayoral candidates a little bit better and where they stand on the issues, so you're well informed for your trip to the polls on April 5th. And so, without further ado, let's meet our candidates. And I'll start on my this side of the screen. And Nellie Pater is our first candidate. Standing next to Nellie is Pete Peterson, then Dorothy Cordes, and then Remy Gomez. So welcome all 4 candidates. I'm sure they're looking forward to the big voting coming up next week.
And we have our first question, a call-in that we had from Dorothy Walker.
And they want to know the opinion on the juvenile lawbreakers performing community service instead of just paying dollars to get out of their predicament. What do you think about that? And I guess all 4 of you can answer on that. So Remy, let's start with you and work our way around.
Oh, great question. Great question. I would be all for that. I mean, tax dollars, of course, are generated. Revenue is generated through the program, unfortunately, through offenses. But I feel community service, and not just picking up trash, but I mean, disabled veterans, helping out at the VA, helping out at certain community events. I would be all for that, and I would applaud that, definitely.
Kennedy Cordes, what's your opinion on that?
I feel that that's a very good idea. We should be teaching our children responsibility, not just to pay a fine and go about their business. If we could incorporate the cleaning of our parks or the bathrooms in the parks that we've had complaints about, or helping out at the VA or elderly ladies and gentlemen in our towns. I feel by making them do some community service, we are teaching them responsibility, and that's what we're going to have. They're our youth, and if we don't teach them, who is going to?
Thank you. And candidate Pete Peterson.
Well, definitely, community service is a good avenue. It's so easy to throw money against things, and if juveniles have to put in some time and effort, sweat equity, that's the way it should be. And don't make it just a couple hours here or there. If they do something, make them so they have to spend some time, have to give up a weekend or give up a couple days, just to, punishment has to fit the crime, of course, but it's still, it's a good idea, rather than have your parents pay a fine for you and you just get away with it.
And Nellie, your opinion on that
I
question?
think that is a good idea. Right now we have a Challenge Academy at Fort McCoy that handles troubled kids, and they do a lot of community service in the community, Sparta, Tomah, Black River, and that helps them build up the trust and also get to know what they have done and pay back to the community. I think it's a good idea.
Well, Dorothy's got a follow-up question. She's on a roll, so I guess we'll come right into her next question. This one is pretty much of a cosmetic question. It's other towns have flower pots on their lampposts. What's your opinion of seeing something like that happening and showing up in Tomah? And Nellie, we'll start with you. We'll go back the other way.
Well, I love flowers. I have a big garden, and I think that it brings beauty into the city. I would like to see that all over, as not only downtown, but in the areas that we don't have pots and stuff. I think that would be a very good thing. It's a good thing to show the community beautification.
Pete Peterson, what's your opinion?
Well, the flower pots are a good idea. It's a good start. Now, I've had somebody tell me that I was talking to a couple weeks ago. They said, unfortunately, those flower pots have become giant ashtrays. And what they would recommend is have something that hangs from up high, and they change the flowers out all the time, like other cities do. So it is a good start what we have now, but I think we could improve it by stepping up a little and put some hanging plants in there.
Thank you. And Dee?
Well, Pete, I agree with you, because my husband and I travel all over the state of Wisconsin camping from town to town, and these little towns smaller than Tomah have these beautiful flower pots hanging over. And I think we could partnership with the VA. They have a gorgeous greenhouse out there. The vets are growing these flowers. Their gazebo is beautiful. People go out there for their family pictures, and bring some of those flower pots and hang them downtown. We don't have to just have city ashtrays. We can have these beautiful plants hanging in our town and make it more appealing to everyone driving through.
Thank you. And Remy?
Well, another great question. I'll go one step further. Let's tie our two questions together. Let's get those people that need community service effort, and let's make that maybe their pet project, where that's what we dedicate community service to first and foremost, is upgrading, maintaining, and establishing new flower pots. We can take those same offenders and small programs like putting flower pots, but I don't think just on Main Street, like the other candidate said, everywhere. I mean, we got parks all over the city that are beautiful spots of the park, all around the lake. Let's take full advantage of the beautiful area that we have.
Great.
The Long Range Planning Commission has been meeting, basing a lot of their thought process on the study that was done. As mayor, where do you see yourself in that leadership role as far as working with the Long Range Planning to make some of those suggestions that the survey pointed out by the community become a reality? And Remy, we'll start with you.
All right. Well, another great question. Being a man of this community, living here my entire life, kind of know a different avenue of the wants and needs. There's certain things all around the city that are needed. A stop and go light right out here by Arthur Street. Can't tell you how many numerous times I've waited there 10 plus minutes just to get across there, and then it's still not even safe. But really what I think long-term planning really equates to is, the term is 3 years and out. So when they're thinking long-term planning, what are we going to do 3 years and out? I think, again, not to piggyback Phil Stewart and Tomah Memorial Hospital, but their project with the hospital and the YMCA, if we hit the ground running and we take the next 3 years and we develop this place to be a beautiful asset, flower pots, small things that make community good, by the time the hospital gets built, we'll all look great. I think we'll all benefit from it.
Pete, what would you do for mayor in that position?
Well, I'd be an active part of the committee, that's for sure. And as I said earlier, I'm going to watch and I'm going to listen, and then I'll give any input as I feel is pertinent. But this long-range planning committee is very important. This has been going on for like 10 years, and I don't know what results what have came out of this. Between them and the Forward Tomah and area, I'd somehow like to get these organizations together, all working together, and I think there's strength in numbers. And so I look forward to being a part of that committee, and I'll definitely participate in it.
Okay. Dee, how about you?
I will definitely be part of that committee. I have a problem with the word long range. Yes, we have to have long range planning, but we have to implement these plans. We can't just keep planning. We have to implement something so that the citizens see that we're moving forward instead of stagnating ourselves at the hold.
Okay, and Nellie?
Well, right now the long-range planning has done a lot. We have a kiosk that's going in by Gillette Park. That will be restrooms that people can use, and the chamber will also have a place where you can pick up packages and brochures and stuff. So the long range has done some work, and they have a plan. Of course, it takes time. And another thing is the south side lumber that the city have purchased for parking for the swimming pool. So there is things being done, and the long range is part of those things that are happening right now. So my plan would be to go outside to other communities outside of Tomah and bring businesses, try to promote our city so that maybe some of those businesses in those cities can look maybe expanding their business to Tomah.
Great, thank you. We just want to remind our viewers to call in at 608-567-4739 for your questions for our candidates.
One final question before we go into break. A lot of you have said that there's a communication issue. There's just not that connectivity when it comes to the community and city government. Where do you think the big problem is, and how quickly could something like that be changed? And Nellie, we'll start with you and then work our way around.
I think that the citizens tend to stay back and just watch and hear from the outside. We need to bring them into the city, have them talk to the department heads, city council, their council representatives, bring that communication so that we can know what they're thinking and what we need to improve. Some people just don't really like that one-on-one, but that's what their alderpersons are for if they don't want to talk to the city. That communication is very important in order for our city to grow and order for our city to move forward. So yes, communication has got to be an issue that we need to correct.
Okay.
I feel that the mayor's office somewhere along the line closed its doors. We lost that with Ed Thompson leaving. We no longer have that open door to say, hey, I've got a concern, can you help me out, or can you direct me? Why did the council do this? Why are they presenting that? I'm just a concerned citizen. I know how I feel as a citizen, and if I were to become the mayor, I would open those doors after 4 o'clock. We don't live in a 9-to-5 world anymore. We have people that work till 6 or 7 o'clock at night, and I think it starts with the mayor's office being shut down.
Well, first of all, something that none of us have said before, thank you to Lynxx 24 for putting this on. I've had that note up here ever since we started, and I just now got to it. Communications, that's a two-way street. So many people that in this town don't read the newspaper, they don't listen to the news, and you go to, primarily at church, you ask them a question and say, well, I didn't know that, and it's because, our citizens have to be involved also, just as we have to be involved in informing them. The other thing is news seems to die in Tomah. It comes out and then you never hear how the situation turns out. So I'm not really aware if the newspapers are following up, if Hagen Show is following up. You folks are following up, but it is a two-way street, and we all are somewhat guilty of not being full
Right.
up.
Right.
Remy?
Well, this answer kind of derives from a question that you had earlier. I believe it's directly the mayor's job to bridge that gap. I wouldn't say per se that the door is closed, but the mayor's job, and to reference Dee and Ed Thompson, is to gather the public opinion, regardless if you're a bar owner or you have to go door to door or you got to have coffee in the break room in various places just to gather that public opinion. A lot of opinion is had, like she said, it's not always in the 9 to 4. It's not always in the time frame of the mayor's office. But the part that derives from another question is to name our hours of operation. I don't have any hours. 24 hours a day. Nowadays, you can email, you can text. I got a very supportive fiance at home, kids that are jacked and excited about the idea of me being mayor, so are full supportive. So 24 hours a day, not just my office, but I think I can speak for every candidate. It'll be open.
All right. Well, thank you, candidates, for this segment of our debate. And we're going to be back with more of our Lynxx 24 live Tomah mayoral debate right after these messages.
Welcome back to Lynxx 24 for our live Tomah mayoral candidate debate. And just a reminder to our viewers to call in with your questions at 608-567-4739. And Steve, you have the first question.
Yeah, I do.
off the debate.
Some of the people are starting to get a little more specific, a little harder on their questions. So here's the one for you, and it has to do with property taxes, our favorite. Give your position on property taxes. Do you think Tomah's current mill rate is either too high or too low? And what would you consider is an attractive rate for families or businesses to move to Tomah? Pete, I'm going to start with you on that.
That's a good question. Well, I really don't have no complaints with the tax rate I pay. You know, taxes are a necessary evil, and so you need the taxes to keep the infrastructure going. We need to continue all the programs that we have. So much of the problem that causes taxes to go up is Washington sets a mandate. They don't furnish no funds. They flow it down to the state. The mandate goes down there. They furnish no funds. It gets to the county, same story, no funds. It gets to the city, we got to find the funds. So consequently, we do have to pay taxes. And you look at our tax bill, it isn't on the city. It's a Western Technical College. It's a school district. We pay for the lake. So, you know, it's all cumulative. But all in all, I'm not going to complain about my taxes.
Remy, what's your thoughts?
Kind of in a similar boat. We've always stuck around Tomah for the favorable property tax. Homeowners, I just bought our second home, so definitely familiar with property tax. But with Pete, I mean, you get certain things, you pay for what you get, and we have a beautiful community here. I think compared to other communities, we come out ahead, to be honest. So if we can just make a few slight changes, property tax and the rate that we currently pay will be more than beneficial.
And Nellie, your position on that?
I think taxes need to stay as low as possible because we have a lot of people there that can't really afford to pay the taxes. And like Pete said, we have a lot of things coming. And if the referendum for the school district comes out to say yes, we'll have that. And then we'll have our jail that is also going to be taxes to the community. If people can't afford taxes, they won't pay them. And then the city loses that revenue. So I think that it's very important to work together, find ways to eliminate some of the stuff that the city or doesn't need, and keep the taxes lower, because we do want the citizens to be able to afford the taxes in Tomah so that we can continue to provide the services that the taxes pay for. So, I mean, we really need to keep them steady, keep them low.
Dee?
Well, it's easy to go forth because we're all pretty much on the same page. We want to keep the taxes where people can afford them. I was very fortunate to be able to buy my first home in Tomah as a single mom. I could afford the taxes. I could afford all the fees that come with it. But at the same time, we all know that we have to pay our taxes to keep our schools up to par, to keep everything functioning in the city of Tomah. So taxes are important. We have to be in check, but we're also on a check and balances with the county and the state as far as taxes go.
Well, great. Thank you, candidates. Our next question is from a call-in from Lee Linder. And the question is, any plans to bring in activities for lower-income children in our community or help with funding the skate park? So let's start with Nellie on this one.
Well, I mean, that's a hard question to ask because we just don't know as far as the skate park. It is a nonprofit. We have a lot of people that donate to the skate park. Many people have donated money and do fundraisers, and that's kind of how it's going to have to be right now because the city is not involved in the skate park and no revenue is given to the skate park. So I guess donations, fundraisers, and do what they're doing now and have people donate.
Great. Thank you. Remy, would you like to take this question next?
I would love to. I think that's exactly the problem. What Dee said is the city is not involved in it. The way that they see it, from what my understanding is, it is more of a headache than a hassle. I think with a little bit of money and a little bit of ingenuity and a little bit of common sense in this, we could make into a great park that we don't have within 50 miles. We're talking about bringing in things that we don't have all over the county. Well, there's not a legitimate skate park. I had the fortune to come up through baseball. So my niche was baseball. Park and Rec covered that. I don't see why, with a little tweaking, to be bold, why we couldn't include the skate park in the Park and Rec. Make the funding right from there. To put in our tax money right to use. Those kids deserve the same opportunity as everybody else.
Thank you. And Pete?
Well, you know, this is a great subject to, for the Long Range Planning Committee to work on. And I realize, you know, having something for everybody is virtually impossible. So you got to have something where you can fit the most people in and get the most benefit of it. The skate park was a good start, but there's other activities. You know, we have an active Boys and Girls Club in town. That's something everybody can go to. There's the swimming pool in the summer. That's a great place to go. There's youth baseball, youth football, youth soccer. Sports is an avenue for kids. It keeps kids busy, keeps them out of trouble. I would personally, I'm a sports fan. I played sports when I was young, although I can't remember. But it's a great thing way to keep them busy. Have them involved in sports and scouts, everything. And it's for, you know, fit all economic classes.
Great, thank you. And Dee, to finish up with the question.
I have I'm very fortunate. I live across the street from the high school. And I know that the high school organizations are always trying to raise money and everything, and they hold these clinics reasonably cheap to fund their own things. The skate park, I know quite a few parents that work with me at Toro that let their kids go there because they're not bullied and they feel like they belong and they're learning their tricks. So I do agree that we have to keep that in our city and our hands. What I'm trying to say is we need to support that as citizens as well, and we can't put everything back on the city to raise money for every little thing. We try. We have a Park and Rec. We have our Freeze Fest. And plus we support our school.
Thank you. And Steve, you have an additional question.
Yeah, Daryl has a question, and he's got a little bit of a story behind it before I ask the question. It involves the education process in the city, and especially with this referendum that's coming up in this next voting. Daryl said, you know, the Tomah High School is ranked number 388 out of 466, worse than 83% of all Wisconsin high schools. The school district enrollment is down, with Tomah is experiencing hard financial times and many longtime businesses going out of business, scaling back, etc. Property taxes in Monroe County are in the top 30% in the state. Why, given these examples, would you support the Tomah Area School District referendum?
Tough question.
And so, Dee, I'm going to pass that to you first.
We need the referendum. We cannot allow ourselves to short our children. Our children are our basis. Our children are our future. And without the referendum, we're going to have to start making cuts. And when cuts start happening, we don't have anything for our children. We don't have things like Lynxx 24 where we can learn about broadcasting and anything like that that goes with that. My children were very, very active in the arts in the high school. And my daughter started in grade school with musicals and that Rocky Shutter put together. So I know that we need the referendum.
Nellie, how about you?
Well, I had said at the forum that if the referendum does not pass, I think that the cuts should be from the top and not from the bottom. We need our teachers. We need our programs, some of the programs that the school has, the bigger programs, maybe we need to look at maybe downsizing those. But in my personal opinion, we need the teachers, and they're very important because they educate our children. So I would say if the referendum doesn't pass, they need to start looking at the higher dollars, and that's from the top.
Thank you. Remy, your answer to that question?
Great question. Two-part question, two-part answer. I think the enrollment being down is a direct reflection of stagnant growth in the city. And that is a direct reflection of not only this office that we are running for, but the community as a whole. School district gets X amount of monies based on how many people we have in our per capita. A couple ways to solve that. Re-annex. I think we need to take a look at bringing in the new housing developments that are just outside of town. Not only can they not vote, their kids go to our school, they use our roads, they work here. I think that would be one thing to look at, not saying we need to go that far.
Okay.
And lastly, Pete.
Well, everybody's right on this subject. I think we do agree that we need to support this referendum. You can't cut teachers, because you cut teachers, then the classroom is going to get bigger with more kids in the classroom, and that's not good for the learning. You don't want to cut programs. That's probably the last alternative to the teachers versus the number of students, is to what programs go by the wayside. One thing about Tomah High School is they have a lot of programs for a lot of people. And just to get rid of those, I don't support it at all. And I'm sorry about the tax issue, but we got to do what we got to do.
Thank you.
Well, we're going to take one more break, and when we come back, we'll hear the final comments from our four candidates. As you're watching the live Lynxx 24 Tomah mayoral debate, stay tuned. We'll be back with more after this.
Welcome back. We are here live debate with the candidates for the Tomah mayor position. We just had a call from Neil, and Neil's question goes to Remy Gomez's comment earlier, working with addiction issues. So Neil's question is for the candidates: how can we get nonprofit organizations to help our at-risk youth? So let's start with Dee on this question.
How can we do this? We have to implore to them that our children that are at risk are not going to become very good workers. And I'm not saying that they all are going to be college bound, but they need to finish school, they need to get an education. And I think the people that have these businesses and organizations need to step up, as well as the city, and help these I don't want to say underprivileged, but these type of children that are getting under the radar, and teach them what their future could be.
Great, thank you, Dee. And candidate Nellie.
Well, I think that we need to look at what is out there for these. There are a lot of programs. Bring them into the city. Try to get them involved in our park and recreation, and teach them that it's a community for all, and underprivileged children are not something that we want to miss out. We need to bring them together and try to find ways to help those children.
Thank you. Remy, your answer to that question about helping our at-risk citizens.
Thanks, Neil, for the follow-up opportunity. I personally think, going back to community service, people that have walked the path and been personally through this, sharing their story or their advice in counseling, designating a rehab facility specifically for opiates and methamphetamines. It's not addiction. It is very much so a mental health issue. I did not always have that opinion, but I very recently came to that conclusion that it's very much so a mental health.
And lastly, Pete, your answer to that call-in question.
It's a very difficult question, no matter how you look at it. And I think a couple things that we haven't talked about is the youth that are in trouble. Maybe we could assign mentors to the kids in trouble. Have contracts with expectations, and then evaluate and make sure they meet those expectations, and continue the community service. So it's three-pronged things that I've suggested here, and I think you just have to. It's one of those things you just have to stay after it. Stay after it. Don't give up.
Great, thank you.
Well, and our final question you knew I'd have to ask, since I'm the Monroe County Economic Development Coordinator, I had to talk a little bit about economic development. Sure. And I guess, you know, it's a big thing for the city of Tomah and also for the county. I'd like to know, if you're mayor, what is your strategy for building economic development in the city of Tomah? And Remy, I'm going to start with you.
Again, another great question. I think economic growth and economic development kind of will come hand in hand with, again, not to piggyback Phil, but he has started a huge project for us here, needed regionally. The YMCA Center, for lack of a better term, much needed facility, not just for Tomah, but for the whole county. And I think if we sell that as a community, as a county organization and a county benefit, I think it'll benefit not only you at the county board, but whoever wins this race as well, and the city of Tomah.
Pete?
Well, you're right. Economic development is a big thing for the county, and it's a big thing for the city. And I look at it this way: since if I become mayor, and since my name is Peterson and your name is Peterson, and our offices are in the same floor, we're going to be good to go in that area. But it's talked about earlier, and I mentioned it in the last debate, that we need to find a niche business for downtown. I've studied this quite a bit when I was going to Viterbo, and all towns that have a going downtown area, they have some specific niche business. And I don't have any examples coming to my mind now, but everything I've read about that is that you get a niche, and then you get a couple businesses doing the same thing, and it breeds competition, it breeds sales, and it's a good way of going about it.
And by the way, Peterson and Peterson is not a law firm. We'll just point that out right now. Dee, how about you?
Being the non-political person on the board here, on the panel here, I have no real strategy. I have a lot to learn. I want to take my lead from the people that we have in leadership. Our mayor's office is in name only, basically, because we have a city administrator. But we do need to build up our downtown. We need to build up our south side. When I moved to town 21 years ago, we had 2 dress shops, we had a bakery, we had a jewelry store, and I know that Tomah can still prosper that way.
Okay, thank you, Dee. Nellie?
Well, I think promote the city, which will bring an eye to other people's outside our city, and we can learn. I come from Chicago, and economic development is always happening there. And how they get together is they bring ideas outside, and they look at ways to make things grow. And I think that, like Pete said, that we need to bring something big into the city, because it will bring revenue and jobs.
Thank you, candidates. Well, that's it for the question part of it.
I think we're ready to close it
And
out.
now we have, our closing statements, and I'll let you choose which candidate you want to start.
Well, let's start with Remy. Give us your closing statements.
Well, appreciate the time. Again, like Pete said, this is an awesome platform to get to speak from one final time before we all head to the polls. Regardless if you vote, write me in, write any of these candidates in, or check Nellie. Just make sure you do the referendum. Make sure you approve the referendum. Our children need it. They deserve it. It's important for them to be technologically caught up when they graduate so that they can hit the ground running. Cutting programs, cutting funding for your schools is never a good idea. Please support that. Thank you.
Thank you, Remy. And we'll go to Pete Peterson for your closing statement.
Well, there's not a heck of a lot I can say that hasn't been said already, but the big thing is we got to be sure that you get out and vote. Whether you vote for which one of us four that you vote for, your vote counts. This is going to be a big election with the primary, presidential primary in it. I don't think you can make a wrong choice here, but you can make the best choice with me because I have the most experience working with the government. I was in charge of the Chamber of Commerce for a year. I feel that I have a good methodology of how the city works. I don't have no new programs in mind, but I will support the city to my fullest as long as I'm in office.
All right, thank you. Dorothy Cordes, your closing statements.
My closing statement is I strongly believe in the power of communication, and I feel that with strong leadership and a strong person to oversee the leadership, we can all do much better in Tomah. Like Pete said, the most important thing is to get out and vote. Make your voice heard. Without voting, you're just settling, and settling is not an option.
Thank you. And Nellie Pater.
Well, I have 8 years on the city council, and I have followed the direction of the city. I've been here for 21 years, or 23 years in Tomah. I raised my children here. They graduated from here. They left here, and hopefully they will come back and be part of our community. And also, I would like to say, government-wise, I have 35 years in the government. I traveled. I bring a lot of knowledge into I can bring a lot of knowledge into the city. My thing is to bring the people together so that we can make Tomah a great place to live and work and just enjoy, because it's a great town and it can be greater.
All right, well, thank you, Nellie. And that's going to conclude our debate, and we want to thank all four of our Tomah mayoral candidates that joined us, Nellie Pater, Pete Peterson, Dorothy D. Cordes, and Remy Gomez, and thank you for your input. And we really hope that everybody enjoyed hearing what the candidates had to say, and you could tell there's a lot of passion with all four. And,
and they support each other, too,
right,
Steve.
Right. And the big thing is go vote on Tuesday and vote for the candidate you think will do the best job. And you've got four qualified candidates who all can do a great job.
And three of them are the write-ins. I mean, that is the difference. D and Remy are write-in candidates for our viewers.
Yeah, just remember, Dorothy Cordes, Pete Peterson, and Remy Gomez are write-ins. Nellie Pater will be on the ballot, so keep that in mind when you're out voting. And we want to thank them for joining us. All four did a great job in helping make this event possible. And thank to all of you for joining us on YouTube. You're watching Lynxx 24, where we're connecting you to the community. Make sure you get on and vote next Tuesday.